So on this week's episode of the Impact Sessions, I'm delighted to have Pauline Oustric with me. Pauline's a PhD student in psychology of eating behaviour at the University of Leeds. Now, this is a business podcast, and you might be thinking, why are we interviewing somebody who's a PhD student in psychology of eating behaviours from the University of Leeds? Well, I've met Pauline at a number of networking events, and Pauline's fabulous at building networks between academia and the outside world. So we've entitled this week's podcast, Academia and the Outside World, Genuine Potential, but How? So first of all, welcome to the podcast, Pauline.
Hello, Nick. I'm really happy to be here too.
I'm very happy to have you here. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what got you from your home over to the UK studying at Leeds? A little bit of background about Pauline.
Okay. So I'm Pauline, and I will say I'm French. I'm trying to take the Yorkshire accent, but I haven't tailored it yet. Still working on it.
It's not bad.
So I'm a PhD researcher in the University of Leeds, but before I was an engineer in nutrition from Paris. So I've been a bit more used to business background because I've already worked in Danone a bit and also as a consultant in nutrition. So has always been interesting into academia and business, and I've always been interested in bringing both together. And now doing my PhD in eating behavior, I'm also facing lots of networking, and that's why I'm here to talk about.
Excellent. Okay, well, it's great to have you here. And as I say, I've met you at a number of networking events and events that I've been involved in and you've been involved in. So you seem very passionate about getting out and about. You seem very passionate about networking itself. Do you want to share a little with the audience about why you're passionate about that? How did it come about, and what kind of networks you choose to kind of invest in?
Yes, so I think networking is definitely one of my passion. When people ask me about my passion, I always say 3C: communication, which is networking; cooking, because I love creating new food recipes; and coding, because I've recently learned to code in R, and I love making visualization especially.
Okay.
But communication, networking is something that really drives me. And I'm sure you're aware about Simon Sinek saying, what is your why? And I think for me is bringing people together, understanding why they need and how we can help them be the best of themselves. So networking for me is about knowing more about myself, knowing more about others, and bringing people together.
Okay. And how long have you been involved in networking? And how old were you when you first got involved in networking, and how many networks have you been to in the years that you've been involved in it?
Oh, I haven't counted, but if I come back from the Leeds one, just an anecdote yesterday, I was in EY. It was the International Women Day organized by EY and the Leeds Council, and it was just these 4 women explaining their stories, how they get there in their jobs and how they face doing their jobs plus having a baby plus having their passion plus everything, and how being a superwoman is also trying to balance all of this and still meditate and still be there.
Okay.
So that for me, I was really tired when I get there, and after that I was really energized. So networking brings me energy, and that's why I try to keep doing it, because it makes myself a better person, it challenges me, and it can also help other people.
So that networking is based around a learning environment, because some networking is purely person to person, shaking hands, having a canapé, having a chat. Your networking that you seem to go to, which I've seen you at, is kind of a learning environment where there may be a speaker or a panel or a subject, and you're still networking around with the audience. Is that your preferred kind of style of that then, Pauline?
I think I'm really flexible, so I like kind of all types of networking, but for me it's not restrained to finding a job, because lots of people think networking is kind of just when you want to find something and get something out of the person. But for me networking is more elaborating a relationship, learning from people, and doing something more challenging for me, for example.
Okay. Are you a natural networker? Did you have to work hard at it in the early days? Did it feel comfortable, or did it feel alien to you when you first started?
That's a really good question. I think I'm an extrovert. I think that's sure, but I'm still timid. And when I see people that I really want to talk to, but are really impressive to me, I have to push myself and say, okay, Pauline, they are still human. You can still talk to them. They're not another species. So it is not easy, but I think the more you do it, the more you get better at it. That's a psychological habits thing. You need to practice to get better at it.
You do indeed. There's I do some work with a number of universities at sort of PhD and postgrad student level, and I'll say to them, who's your academic hero? And they'll say, oh, Professor so-and-so, or the whoever it might be, a leading light in their particular field of research. And I'll say, if you met them, how would you feel? And a lot of people go, oh, I wouldn't want to talk to them. I wouldn't want to talk to them. They're like the world leader in marine biology or whatever it might be. But you've said there, they're just the same species as us. They are normal human people. And the reality is they're often quite lonely because people don't approach them because they're frightened of being, oh my goodness, this guy, this lady are particularly, super academic and, world leaders in their field. So I really like your attitude of, I'll roll my sleeves up, I'll approach them. What's the worst that can happen? And I've done it once, I'll do it again, keep doing it on that basis. Would that be some good advice for PhD and postgrad students to approach their heroes then?
Exactly. I did it again yesterday. This fantastic woman from North Invest that was presenting her story, and she was so impressive, but she shared something that was really important for me. She says, don't be driven by your fear, but instead trying to find your passion and trying to think long term. And I really make me think about everything I'm doing is to try to convince myself to be more confident, and I don't say no, I say yes to everything, and I try to put myself out there because I'm really driven and I want to create this job. But then she says, don't do it by fear, but by passion. And I wanted to see her at the end, but she was just so impressive. I had to force myself to go and talk to her. And then she was just a really nice person, of course, as every people. Yeah. So it's just like taking the courage to go there and ask a good question, and you will never know if you didn't never ask. So
no, and actually, if you then say something along the lines of that was really inspiring, that's a good first opening for somebody, isn't it? They're going to be quite impressed with the fact that you've resonated with them on some level. So that's really interesting. Okay, so you're a PhD student. How well do you think the world of academia has been at building relationships with the outside world? I'm particularly thinking about the business community. And have you got any examples of in your areas of study where that's worked really well? Because I see gaps when I work in academia and with academia, I work in business, but there's quite a few gaps. Do you think they've been good at doing that properly?
I think the problem comes from people doesn't know each other. So you have academia, which is really mainly theoretical. Of course, you have practice, but it's about theory. But they don't know really well the business world, and it's the same with the business world. The industry, they don't know really well the academic unless they have worked with them. So I think the first thing is to bridge this gap and help them know each other so they can communicate better and do things together. Actually, I think University of Leeds is doing a lot for that. First, we have Nexus, which I really share the value with, bridging the gap between academia and businesses. For
those who don't know, the University of Leeds have got a fabulous facility. It's called Nexus, and it's a really sort of hotbed of ideas and innovation. It's got some fantastic sort of businesses in there. It's got some drop-in activities. It's working with academics and business, pulling them together. But it's a specifically built environment for that purpose, isn't it? So that's been a real catalyst at the University of Leeds, hasn't it, for the relationship build? Has that been part of what you've seen in the time that you've been in Leeds?
Yes, it's been, because first it's a location where you can go, you have fantastic food, and that's really important because they always bring people, especially as a French person.
I was just going to say, is that the French person you're there, Pauline? The food's the important factor. Yeah,
that's me being a foodie. But I do think at least for me, I always take time for having a lunch, and having a lunch is with someone. So you can meet for lunch and meet people there. So you have a food place to meet people, but you also have meeting rooms, and you have companies and startups there. There's events all the time, and it's most of the time free. So it's a really good environment for meeting people. So I think there's Nexus, but there's also other facilities and a group for that. So there's the N8 Agri-Food, which is a program between 8 universities. I can't remember all of them, but Leeds for sure is in it. And what they do is they try to bring also together some businesses and some government and academia around food, healthy food, and supplies of food. So yes, that is a good program. Also internships. And the last thing I've been learning about is KTP, which means Knowledge Transfer Partnership.
Okay.
So it brings together academia, a graduate, and business. And the aim is for the business to improve their competitiveness, or to gain some skills, knowledge, or from the academia, develop a product or a service. So that's a good thing, but it's not really known.
I've seen that happen where a business will get access to an intern or a knowledge transfer partner student who will have a specific project to deliver that maybe the business has been thinking about for a long time, didn't have the resource in place, and they're bringing a really bright, articulate sort of student into the business to run something specific and then see the results of that. That's really powerful, isn't it, when you see that happen? But I'm going to turn that round and say, businesses don't seem to know much about these kind of programs. So what do businesses need to do then, do you think, Pauline, to access these fabulous resources that sometimes are really underused from the academic world?
That's a really good question too. I think one way will be for them to go into Nexus and see what is around. So there's lots of events either in Nexus or in the university. So researchers are presenting their research in different ways, so lay way or more scientific way. So they could be inspired from that and say, oh, that's something we need to do that could help us for this product or these services. So I think from the business point of view is knowing more what is there in the university, and that's the role of Nexus to help them finding the graduate or the person that can help them in the specific point. Or it could be the business to create an event. They need something. For example, they want to reformulate a food product and they need this specific scientific, and they will create an event and invite a different scientific or if a university to help with that. So I just think is establishing the communication, because it could really work and help each other if they know more about each other. But right now it's still a bit more separate. Yeah,
there does seem to be that sort of, we're over here, you're over there. We're aware of each other, but we're not necessarily integrated. And Nexus is the example for the University of Leeds, but I've worked across a number of universities in the UK, and I'm sure it's the same globally. There are people dedicated in the universities to those outreach relationships with commerce, industry, business, and even sort of public sector, etc. From a business point of view, my advice would be, get to know what your local universities are doing, get to know what your local universities specialise in, what their fields of study are, what their expertise is, and reach out and make yourself available for networking events, I guess collaboration events, just going along to lectures and that might be open to both sources really. Because when I've seen organisations who do embrace academia, they are stealing a march with latest thinking and new technologies and that kind of thing. So have you got any successes that you've been aware of from Leeds University then, in terms of where you've seen, people that have said they've gone to work somewhere, they're working together in collaboration? Anything you can share with us that's not sort of, I guess, protective information?
I know a lot of them. I don't know I can't really share specifically their stories because it's not mine, but what works really well is for a business to have an intern, for example, and PhD are really good for that, because I don't like the PhD student, and I will say PhD researcher, because we do basically everything. You need to create a project, manage a project on your own or with other people, manage a team, you need to have deliverable, you need to network, you need to research. So refine something, summarize it, and then presenting in different types of context. So there seems not to be, when you think about a PhD, you don't think, oh, that will be a good business employee, but they really are, because they have really multitask and they're able to do so many things that they even don't know about. But when you talk with them, you see how good they are. So I think PhD are an underestimated resource. But really good resource.
There's a lot of skill sets in there, aren't there,
Exactly.
that would be very transferable. I think that's the key, isn't it? Transferable skills rather than what you would see as direct skills, but project management, planning, presenting, researching, defined outputs, all of those things are relevant to business in some way, shape or form, aren't they, really? Does it matter that the study area for a PhD student might not be directly transferable to a business then?
Some of them might be. I'm doing also. I'm working also for now, not as part as a PhD, but on top of it, for Research England. So it's still a research; it's not a business. But I would have been interested if a company hired me for doing something that is related to my topic, but not on my field. For example, if you, for example, data science, lots of people are interested now is applying their skills in analyzing data, visualizing them, and making a story from them. So lots of PhD students could be good for that in different contexts, in marketing or other contexts.
So data analysis, research, presenting that in a format that's accessible, all that kind of thing. Okay.
And I know they're not in UK so far, but PhD Talent is a startup that began in Paris, and I was involved with them because basically it's 4 PhD students that created this company about how to bridge the gap between business and academia. And what they did is they created this network, this platform where PhD student or researcher put their name and what they're good at, their skills, and their skills on the website, and then they match it with companies that are also looking for the same thing. So companies can put their skills there, what they want for, PhD does the same, and they can match each other. That create lots of good contact. And I wanted to create the branch in UK, but because of the Brexit, it's still a bit under discussion right now. But
Okay.
I don't.
Is that because of your French citizenship is under discussion? Because there wouldn't be anything to stop somebody setting that kind of concept up in the UK. Except, is it awkward or difficult for Pauline as a French citizen at the moment? Is that why the Brexit thing's an issue or not?
I would love to stay here because I think it's a really good environment. It's just for them, they don't want to invest here now.
So so I see what you mean. The French company didn't want to invest in the UK. Yeah, I
it's still, it's not they don't want, they need to see how it goes.
Yes.
But nothing is like then. When we are passionate about things, we'll always find a way to create it.
Nothing's stopping you, is there really? So,
No.
So talk to me about your studies and research then, psychology of eating behaviour. Then what do you want to do with that, and where's that going to take you? What's the ultimate end game with that then, Pauline?
So I think it's linked with relationship. It's not relationship with people, but relationship with food. So my PhD is about pleasure. So I'm interested in understanding why we eat. So we say, we know why we eat. We eat because we are hungry, or because we're sad, because we're stressed, or because we're, like for me, celebrating with friends and family. But all of this, when you think about it, synthesized into one motive, which is pleasure. And that can be the liking, so the pleasure we have from food, but also the wanting, which is the drive, the motivation that you don't even think about. But when you see this piece of cake in front, there's no one here, but just imagine there were one. You just say it, and then you want to have it, but you didn't thought you will want to have it before saying it. So that's a wanting that can be implicit. And I'm really interested in this in the context of weight management. So what is the role of liking and wanting when you lose weight and when you try to maintain weight? So my PhD is on that, and I've discovered that, contrary to what we thought, liking and wanting can decrease with weight management, so it's helpful. We still don't know why, so I'm trying to understand the mechanism. But the end game of that is to improve weight management strategies. So if we know why people, what help people losing weight and why people are different, because everyone reacts differently, there's always never be one size fits all.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone. But if we know why for the same diet, for example, people react differently and have different pleasure from the food after the diet, then we can help them to maintain better habits or create better habits and then maintain their weight. So that's...
So going back to the links to business, I know your next role, you talk about Research England, and that's an extended research role rather than a business role. What would be the transferable aspect of that then? If you're looking to a business proposition, would it be working with food manufacturers? Would it be working with, I guess, I don't know, distributors or marketing companies in terms of how they present food? What would you do with that in the business environment, and what would a business benefit from that kind of research then, Pauline?
I think the business part will be on a solution I'm developing. So my supervisors, when he was PhD, developed a program, a software called the Leeds Food Preference Questionnaire, which I developed now in the Leeds Food Preference platform, which measure your food preferences really simply. It's a really simple task, but that works really well and has been intensively used in research. And right now, what I'm trying to do is to develop it outside of academia. So I'm working with a computer scientist and a programmer to make a software as a service, and next an app that could be used in different supports, so the phone, the iPad, and also the computer. And the idea will be, if we are able to measure why we eat in different contexts, that will be really useful for people outside of academia. For example, the military. In France and in the USA, they have been using our tool, and I'm looking forward to collaborate more with them, because they have used our tool to prevent the soldier from losing weight by improving what they are giving to them. So the tool could help you by knowing why you eat, improving the food you're giving to your workforce.
So the nutritional part of that fits quite well then? Exactly.
So for a business point of view, it could be by developing this app and this software, this tool, is how it could be used outside academia for the health industry that want to help their workforce be better, be healthier, for dietitians, for nutritionists, and also the military. So I'm interested in all this health, fitness, business environment that could be interested in how we can help people first understanding their own habits, their own unconscious behavior, and then improving what they eat by giving them tools to eat better.
That's fascinating, because the whole health and well-being agenda is massive, isn't it? You know, it seems to be a very common theme. If it wasn't for coronavirus, health and well-being would be probably, second or third item on the news every day about kind of what businesses are doing about it, how they're embracing it, etc., etc. We seem to be overridden we replaced Brexit with coronavirus, didn't we? I just
exactly.
hope it doesn't last as long, is all I would say on that basis. But okay. So what are you looking for as part of your studies? Is there anything that the audience could help you with that might help to bridge these sort of academia, business, research kind of facilities? Is there anything that you're looking for as a next step? What people could do and say, I'd be happy to help with that, or participate in that, or do some research, support that. What would we be looking for from the audience for you then, Pauline, potentially, if anything?
I think for me it will be to develop this platform outside of academia, because this platform has been really used in research and still need to be used in research to understand why we eat. But now I'm interested in is impact, so how it could impact people and businesses. So I'm looking for partners that would like to use the app, either for them, for their clients, for their company, or for customers. So the app is still a prototype right now, so I need to finish it and fine-tune it. But then I am looking for partners in business, in health industries that are looking forward to help their employees being healthier.
Are we talking about large-scale numbers then? So you're talking about the military. Obviously, there's thousands in the military. Are we talking about organisations with a big number of staff? So maybe they employ 1,000 staff in an office in somewhere. Does it have to be those kind of numbers, or could it be smaller scale?
I think it's nice to be smaller scale at the beginning, because so far the tool is like a scale. So when you go on your scale, it tells you how much you weigh. It doesn't tell you go and have a run or eat less burgers. So right now our tool is the same. It's a method. It tells you like high-fat food, and we know that from a research point of view, that can be dangerous, but it's not always dangerous. So we will always need to give the good message from it. So far we have this tool that tells that. And then what I want to do is improve and give a message from it. So what should everyone do? What is the action point to do from this message? So we still need to implement it by research.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to work with the military services, because for them, I think there will be a clear impact. The army doesn't want their soldier to lose weight, otherwise their performance is diminished.
Yeah.
So if we can improve the food that they are giving to the soldier, depending on how they respond to the environment. So for example, when they are in a mission, it could be really cold or really hot, or they could be stressed or sleep deprived. So if thanks to my research, we can understand how this environment, extreme environment, affect their food preferences, then we could modify the food, tailor the food that we are giving them so they don't lose this weight. So I think that's for me the really big impact we can look forward.
Excellent. Are you making inroads into the military in terms of connections, and going back to the whole purpose of this sort of podcast, connectivity between academia and the outside world? Are you making some connections into the military?
Yes, I've done in France and in USA, and I'm looking for it with the British now.
Okay, so if there's any British Army representatives listening to the podcast who would like to put their regiment through a research project in their food preferences, we know where to come. Would that be what you're saying?
Yeah, that would be great.
Excellent. Again, same for businesses. If you've got a health and well-being agenda, and you are promoting healthy eating and those kind of things in a big organisation or medium-sized organisation, it wouldn't be a bad thing to test this out in terms of what does it actually mean from a research perspective. So I'm really interested that we can potentially help with that, but also it's good for businesses, isn't it, to say, the end game is healthier staff or a better informed staff. They might choose to ignore that and still eat the burgers, but at least they're making a conscious decision rather than an unconscious decision, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. And I don't say don't eat the burgers all the time.
Yeah.
I just like finding a habit that is good for you. But yeah.
Okay. So what do you think are the biggest challenges that businesses and academia have in terms of getting together? Is it just communication? Is it something else?
I think it's communication. So we need to understand what they need, what are their needs in both camp. Mm-hmm. And if we don't know that, you can't get it.
Who needs to understand that then? Does it need someone in the middle is the question, I guess. Does someone have to own that space in the middle and make the connections? Or is it random and just saying, look, there's two big organisations here. There's a sector, i.e. business, and there's academia, which is massive. How, does it just have to be accidental or just more PR? How does it work?
It can be accidental. For example, I was in Nexus and I was having my lunch and I was sitting next to the CEO from another startup I wanted to talk to. So it was accidental, but I actually wanted to talk to her and he just facilitated. Yeah. So the place where you are can facilitate that, and it can be accidental, but it can also be driven by your research area. So for example, if you know what you want to do, then you can find the researcher that helps you do that. So I think in each university, you have the people that try to bridge it between business and academia. But I think more needs to be done, and establishing bigger network, which I'm trying to work on, could help. So more people, if all the researchers are more aware of what the business needs are and how they could be helpful for them and vice versa, we could have a better understanding of both and work together.
It strikes me that a business could have an idea and say, we need to research something, whatever that something might be. They probably haven't got the skills or experience to do the full piece of research. If a business approached the university with a project and said, we're looking to definitively find out about X, we need some research doing, would a university really appreciate that as what you would call a live project that could give that to the student body to create live project? Is that realistic? Could that be an option?
It's totally realistic, and I think it happens all the time. Lots of professors have been called or emailed and saying, "Oh, we are developing this product. Can you help us with that? Or can you find the research to justify your claim?" So that happens all the time. But I think it could happen even more, and it could help researchers sometimes to think about the impact of their work, because we are so focused on what we are doing that sometimes we forgot to think about why we are doing it and how it could help outside of academia. It doesn't have always to be applied, but it can be. And for their businesses, we do have this problem, really specific, and we don't have the skills. Can we find someone that can help us with that, either in data science or in synthesis or in methods, and we can find someone.
I suspect the university body across the UK would always find somebody who could do that research, because the variety of study areas is just vast, isn't it? There's always somebody studying something which might feel a bit off the wall or a bit new or a bit different to a business, but actually in academia it's being studied for a long time, or it might be there might be a whole body of people. So I guess that's just having the confidence of a business to approach the universities and think, let's just have the conversation. I do see that. I work with organisations, who do work extensively across the academia platform, but I don't see it a lot from other organisations where I think to myself, you could really try that. You could try, and they wouldn't even think about, PhD students or the university body as the first port of call. So that's just about, I guess, education, awareness and communication, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. And that's why I'm trying to increase the awareness from the PGR point of view, so from the postgraduate point of view. So I've been running, I think now, 4 workshops on networking. So I've run one in France to help PhDs to know a bit more about why do we network, how can we do it, and how we can get ourselves out there. I'm going to do one with you soon for a conference, a British Food and Group conference. I've invited for the PsyPack one, so I'm doing lots of them in order, and the aim for that is to educate and help researchers be more confident and see how good they can be, and they already are, and they just need to be more thinking about we are all human, so we need to see what can we bring to other people.
I think a fear might be they don't know what networking might involve, so you're sort of demystifying that, aren't you? And you're bringing some skill sets to that, which I'm working with you on that basis as well. That gives people the confidence. Are you creating networks in Leeds between academia and business yet, or are you just sort of accessing the ones that are already there then, Pauline?
So I'm already accessing some of them because there are many. So I'm part of Lean in Leeds Women. That is fantastic. The World Network, so Women in Digital in Leeds, Leeds Data Science Society. So I've been giving a talk on Tuesday on data visualization. There are lots of them available, and they are all free. There's Research Retold also that gives workshop on research and businesses. So basically what is a startup and what they are doing is they help researcher that doesn't want or have the time to communicate easily their research to them for them. So they will do a brief policy, or they will do an image or a sketch that is easy to understand for a partner. Yeah,
like an infographic or something, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have already an amazing network on that in Leeds, but it's just trying to bring the research part in it, because there's lots of business. It's all about business, but I'm always the only researcher there. So it's trying
to bring some more of your research fellows into the equation. Okay. We talked about communication. In terms of that for me covers things like content publication, social media, all that kind of stuff, building your connections, building your supportive networks. What's your strategy for yourself in terms of content and social media? Because you seem quite active on LinkedIn, but what's your sort of overall content strategy for Pauline and for social media for Pauline as well?
I'm really active on LinkedIn, or I try LinkedIn and Twitter. I think it's important because it helps you knowing what's out there. So it gives me a news, so what's happening in Leeds, what the events that are there. So I discover lots of things happening in Nexus or happening in the center of Leeds that I would have not known otherwise. What I do then is I go to the event and I make a summary of the event, so I can remember it, and I have a take-home message for me, but also for others. So people that wasn't there have the chance to also have a bit of the message that was given there. So
are you posting your sort of interpretation of... We went to an event, didn't we, recently about habit forming and that, which was a really fantastic sort of 1 hour lecture, but you posted after that, didn't you? Here's my take, here's my learning points on that. So why do you do that then?
I think it's also, as a researcher, it's also a good way to make your working memory works even more. Okay. So if you rehearse what you've learned, you learn it, you remember it better. But also it's to share. I think sharing what you've learned can help other people. If I had this feeling, I think maybe it can also help other people. So I try to summarize what happened. I also try to put people in touch. I've seen these people there, it might help these people. So putting people in touch there. And in Twitter, it's also trying to see more than events, but trying to find people that are inspiring, that I can learn from.
So on Twitter, don't follow Piers Morgan then. If you're looking for inspiration, then I'll just move it. There's a few people you want to avoid on Twitter if you're looking for inspiration, because it's a very dangerous world, Twitter, isn't it? It is. It's good for information, but my goodness, some characters on there, aren't there, really? So be careful you don't get dragged into Twitter trolling and all those kind of things.
I'm really mindful with my time with screen. So I try not to do too much social media, because it tends to... It's really easy to get in the role and just screens and roll it. So I'm trying just to go there to find specific thing, give specific feedback, put people together, and then I stop and I do a bit of meditation.
Excellent. Oh, okay, good. Or have some food by the sound of it, because you do like your food, don't you?
With someone.
Okay. I love the fact that you are disciplined around your social media use, but I really do like what you said earlier about, you see it as your role to share something that somebody might have missed out on. Are you getting good feedback from people who see you as a really positive resource then, in terms of, someone of influence within the, say, Leeds University community or the Nexus community?
I think I've got nice feedback, and what is more interesting, and when you do a conference and someone comes to see you, and it happened recently, I was giving a pitch, and the LICAM Impact conference, so it was a cardiovascular and metabolic disease in Leeds, and I give my pitch, and then someone came to see me and say, I saw you on Twitter or on LinkedIn, and now I'm happy to meet you in real. And that was really good, because it means that I've made something interesting and they wanted to reach me out in direct. So I think that's a proof that it works. And I've used it lots of times. So I've seen people that I wanted to contact on LinkedIn posting something, and I've contacted them. And normally, if they are happy to share, they will reply to you. And thanks to that, I've been to France and I've given talk, and then I've met them in UK. So I've contacted lots of people in LinkedIn and say, I like what you're doing. Can we share? Can we discuss? Can we meet? And normally they want to meet, and you can progress and learn more.
Excellent. So you're not just a networker, a physical networker, you're a networker in terms of social media, particularly through LinkedIn. And those patterns are the same, aren't they? It's about finding people, putting them together, making connections, and ensuring that people both win from that, really. There's something in it for both sides of the party, really. So it's fascinating to see that you see elements of university and business working. I think we've identified there's some gaps there to work on. I don't think it's all the responsibility of the universities, by the way. I think the business community themselves need to just be more aware of what could be done. And I think research projects, particularly things that need some rigour, some things that need some real sort of research kind of capability, one of the first places you might go to is say, let's see what the university's got to offer. That would be really good to see, wouldn't it, really, on that basis? Okay. What's next for you? What's next for you in terms of studies, research, relationship building, networking? Obviously, you mentioned the military. Are you off to America to go and see any of the military people over there?
No, I've Skype.
Skype. Skype spoils the travel, though, doesn't it, Skype? I do like Skype, but, it's not the same as getting yourself to Virginia or somewhere, is it? It's
totally true. It's not the same, but also I try to be a bit environmental friendly. And if it's just to meet one person, I avoid flying that far. But it's true, networking is much more better in direct. And for the French military one, if I haven't been to France, I would have never had this connection and this relationship going, because the person I was going to was a bit timid and also was really in his own research. So why is she coming with me with this kind of product? And by coming there, discussing, taking the time, being slow and peaceful, it really works well. So sometimes you really need to be in direct to make things directly to make things coming.
Skype's the one down from a visit, isn't it? And then a phone call's one down from Skype, etc., etc. So I class that as doing the right thing. I apologise, environmentalists, if I'm advocating getting on a plane to go to Virginia, but I do like travel, but I can't help that one. Okay. So final question for Pauline, just a quick one, would be, what one piece of advice would you give any business who might be missing out on all the opportunities that building a relationship or network with academia could deliver? What would you say to a business who's not actually engaged yet?
I will say, try to think what you miss, be specific, and contact someone that you can think will help you in your business. And Nexus can be one of way, making events can be one of way, going to workshop, going to see researcher presenting, going into the research conference that are almost all free. I think all of that could help you understand how both can benefit from each other.
And that would be in any university, you've got those resources,
Yes.
haven't there? Whether it's a Nexus at Leeds
Exactly.
University or whether it's somewhere else. So it's really do your research yourself, find out what's going on. I guess connect on LinkedIn to some of the academics who would gladly accept your connection request in most cases, wouldn't they?
Yes, and when you ask me about what I want to do in the future, actually is what I want to do. So I'm trying to create my dream job where I will be a network ambassador. So half of the time I will be a researcher, so I could create the impact by my research, so the food preference one and the app.
Yeah.
And half of the time I will create event on networking, workshop on how to communicate and on how to visualize data. So I could bring together for really concrete skills, communication, visualization, both PhD researchers and the business that I want to do.
I will wish you every luck with that. Creating your dream job sounds like just the ideal for everybody, isn't it? Actually creating something that's got your DNA all over it. Pauline, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for sharing your insights. Let's hope you've inspired some business owners to get in touch with academia, some academics to reach out a little bit more and build those bridges. And good luck with your continued research. Good luck with Food Research England and with the military in France and the USA.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. That was great.
No problem. Thank you.